All right, guys, today we're talking about rare variants. And what kind of rare variants are we talking about today?
We're talking about Mark Jeweler rare
Mark
variants.
Jewelers. So stay tuned to find out more. Welcome back, Gainers, to another incredible, exciting, fantastic episode of ComicGains. And if you're new to the show, I'm Adam.
I'm Zach, and this is Princess Aurora Heights doing that Princess Wave, so you do it too. But respect, and of course, somewhere around here is Coco, right there.
Oh, she's hiding down there.
Right there, hiding.
Wow, we should have wore a bunch of jewelry for this show. That would have been fun, right? Get some bling on. Some bling for the Mark Jeweler episodes. All right, guys. So we have a really fun episode for you. We're going to kind of talk to you guys about, what is and how to find a Mark Jeweler variant. And I know a lot of you guys out there probably have somewhat of an idea of a Mark Jeweler variant. This might just be a fun exercise in looking for it. But a lot of you guys might have no idea what a Mark Jeweler variant is at all. And it's one of the things when I started collecting again, I had no idea what they were. Zach kind of gave me the 411 on what a Mark Jeweler and why I should be looking for them. So this is a fun episode for all you guys to see. And we have some Mark Jewelers to show you guys. If you know the Gaines crew, we have a lot of Mark Jewelers for some reason. Even though we're going to tell you they're rare, we have a lot of them. But you know what also is kind of rare? This rare drink Zach had.
I'm a little scared because it's a brag. What are you bragging about? It's an organic apple cider vinegar, refreshing prebiotic, your daily dose of wellness.
It's going to help your tummy out.
It's a Concord, grape, and hibiscus. What does it mean? I don't know. You look it up. I'm not interested.
It's organic.
Organic.
If you guys are interested, this is what it looks like.
And this is what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
It's not very many.
Kind of looks like those apple cider vinegar bottles, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't like drinking it straight.
How is it?
It's weird. It's like got that apple cider vinegar like aftertaste where it's like kind of slightly burns your throat, but
you feel healthier? You feel better?
I feel like I can take on the world.
Ooh.
I take on Zach versus the world. Part 2.
You know what also might help you take on the world? If you come to our Whatnot show and hang out with us. We got tons of great books. We start everything at $1. 30-second auctions, and if you're new to Whatnot, we have a special code down below that gets you $15 off your first purchase. And speaking of Mark Jewelers,
we give them away at the end of the show.
One away at every episode. We give away a Mark Jeweler. So if you guys really like the show about Mark Jewelers and you don't have any, you could always come hang out. A lot of people just come out and give them for you don't have to buy anything. You just do the giveaway and you get one. We don't care.
A lot of
times, we want you guys to hang out.
People that win it gets the first Mark Jeweler ever.
Yeah.
So we're so excited.
That's our favorite thing is when someone tells us that's their first Mark Jeweler they've ever gotten. They get from us, and it's a good time. Good time. Come kick it with us.
What do you call that? What's our motto? What do you call that?
Getting those gains.
Getting those gains.
Mark Jeweler gains.
Mark Jeweler gains.
All right, guys. So let's got a little brief history into the Mark Jeweler. So it's actually kind of not like a ton of information like well known. It's sort of like some speculated information, kind of like what people have gathered around. Like people don't know exact print runs, people don't know exactly the first comic or the last comic that was ever put in. But in the 70s, DC and Marvel started running special Mark Jeweler insert ads inside comic books, and from what we know, they were put around military bases. Now it's not always like 100% thing, but basically, from what we know, they were like placed in shops or on military bases, and it was supposed to kind of incite military people to want to buy jewelry or rings for their loved ones. You're going off to war, and you want to make sure you get married to your lady or your dude, before you go off. And easy way to do that is to get a ring. You got to put a ring on it. So Zach can do the put the ring on dance. But
I'm not doing it right. Princess always judges me when I do it. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
No, that's not how you do it.
And, a lot of people didn't care about it back then. There's just kind of a thing, an extra insert inside, and it's like a 4 pages of a thicker paper. Not always blue, but a lot of times blue. We've actually found that there's quite a lot of different colors you can collect. And just a side note, it needs to be a newsstand version. So these only come in newsstand copies. And from what we know, it's about 5% of the print run. That's what we can tell, or less. It could be even less. Like I said, no one was really calculating how many there were, which is kind of why it's even crazier. And on a side note, if it was actually purchased on base, the military people would stamp it with a star, kind of by the barcode, or not by the barcode, kind of by
the price
where the price was at. And it's so far it's a cooler thing. It hasn't, from what I've noticed, it hasn't necessarily increased the value.
No, it doesn't.
Sometimes you can kind of like, hey, this has got the star, it's cooler. The one thing it does help you do is you can find them easier in the wild because the star's on there. And Zach will get a little bit more into finding them in the wild. But that's kind of the history of, and it only took place in these 70s books up to a certain point. I think you can actually get a New Mutants 98 has a Mark Jeweler. I think that's kind of around the ending time.
Creeps into the 90s.
Yeah.
Creeps.
Little bit of stuff going on, but that's kind of when it's harder to find those older ones. But just some cool stuff. That's kind of the history. Like I said, it's almost kind of not a lot known about this. And we brought some examples to show you. So Zach will get you, or Princess will actually show you our first example. We're kind of bragging. These are some of our more favorite Mark Jeweler copies that we have. And we got a Secret Wars 8 first black suit.
Me and Princess, Adam had to work that day, but me and Princess actually found this book out in the wild. It was crazy exciting. And
maybe this one isn't the Mark Jeweler version. Oh, is it? Secret Wars 8?
Big book. First black costume, technically.
Yeah. This is a pretty rare book. I didn't even know. It almost kind of looks like, I always thought the color on this cover looked a little different than the regular one. It's like brighter or
feels
something.
Special.
I don't know. It feels different.
It feels special.
But that's kind of what it looks like inside. And it's actually, there's 4 pages. So there's like a start where it's like you get to see part of the interior. Then there's the first part of it, so you can actually see the comic. And then there's the first part. Then there's a double splash. And then there's the final page of it. But cool book. That's kind of what this is a pink one. Like I said, a lot of times they're blue, but you can get other colors.
Wow. So, you did such a great job showing that, Princess. And guys, make sure to comment down below thanking the Princess for showing it like a pro, like she usually does.
Ooh, yeah, so cool.
Shameless.
Very, very cool book. So, yeah, that's kind of, what one instance of what they look like. But, Zach will kind of maybe give you a little bit extra topic on how to find them in the wild. Because the more you see them and the better you get at identifying them, the easier it is to find them. So, Zach, what are some good tips to finding them in the wild?
So one great tip, right, is if you're handling a lot of raw books, right, you can feel it. You can feel it. You grab a book, you're going through it, and you see this flop. Princess, flop this around a little bit.
Don't get too mad at it.
It's not
this
too
isn't
bad.
an expensive book. I know people are like, what are you doing to that comic?
Yeah, look how it flops right there. It's a flopper, right? It's a dropper. Okay, now feel how this one does.
You guys feel it too in TV land.
Like flopping around a little bit. You grab a book and it flops a little bit. You see it's not flopping as much. And some of the Mark Jewelers are a little thicker, so it shows even more. And you can almost hear when it's like moving a little bit. It's like crisp. I've gone through a couple books like, this doesn't feel right. It's not flopping right.
They're heavier too.
Yes, heavier. You can feel it. Mm-hmm. It's heavier, yes. But if it's bagged and boarded, one of the things is you can get a stack of books and you can see it if you're kind of squeeze the books a little bit.
Show them a close up. Has that one got the thing? You can see it?
Yes.
And you see
if you squeeze it, even in a bag and board, you'll see it. And the other indication is look at that. Yeah, you can hopefully you can see that. You can see it in the stack. The other indication, newsstand, and you kind of automatically, once you start seeing it, newsstand, you kind of just do a quick look, squeeze it a little bit, and like, okay, you can see that piece of almost like thin cardboard material in there.
Yep.
And that's probably one of the best ways to do it. It's really quick. Look at it just from the top, squeeze it, double check to see if it's a newsstand. If it's a newsstand, those two things. There are some cases where the insert's actually poster and you get bummed out, but you gotta check. You gotta check. Yeah. So that's another way. The star is another way. Sometime one of the situations where we found the most, it was in a collection, and this is kind of funny. There was like Navy manuals and Army manuals, and there was all these comics. Like, this came from Navy. I almost didn't have to check. I had a feeling, and of course we went through all of them, and we found a whole short box of Mark Jeweler. It was crazy. It hardly ever happens, but yeah, it happens. So those are the indications that you found a Mark Jeweler. The star, if it's floppy, if it's more firm, if it's a newsstand, might be. Yeah,
newsstand Bronze Age is a good. If you just buy a random newsstand Bronze Age, you should check anyways. Make sure you check before you sell it, just in case.
Look for the top, squeeze it slightly. Don't damage it. Just squeeze it slightly, and you can see it. Most of the time. Sometimes I do this and then I do that just to kind of double check. It's like, okay, It's doing the same thing on the top and bottom.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, all good reasons. And like Zach said, sometimes if you find one, like that's why if you're at like a con or something, you're looking through a box and you find one in there and they don't have it labeled. Look for more, because sometimes there's more. You gotta dig. You gotta get deep in there. You gotta get the hunch going. The comic hunch.
Yes.
Okay, speaking of, we got another example to show you here. This is actually a really cool one. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so you got Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
Big first appearance.
Yeah, which is cool because it's actually kind of like a pseudo like kids book sort of about first appearance of Firestar in a Mark Jeweler.
And don't knock on those kids books. They can be very expensive. Like the first appearance of Peter Porker. Mm-hmm. Technically, Ahsoka's a kids book in a way.
So yeah, cool. Green Goblin cover. You remember those amazing friends? You get the fire, you get the ice, you get a Mark Jeweler.
Yeah.
So you can see this one's got almost a dark blue, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a great color.
Yeah, dark blue insert on that one, and none of these had the stamp on them. So we've had some with stamp. Oh, it's a different color inside, green on the inside. Okay, what? I've never seen that before. Like looking at it for the first time. I didn't even know that. I've never seen two different colors before. That's cool.
I've seen a double Mark Jeweler.
Yeah, Don't
pay more for it.
I don't know yet. It's so hard to find. Like, people. I just had a guy that showed us a double Mark Jeweler, so I had like two inserts in it, and I don't know. I get weary about that. I'm like, what's the weariness? So so that's another version of it, and Zach also the big thing about these guys. We're talking about all these like variants and low print run. What does that all mean? It means that they're more valuable, and the thing is like, why are they more valuable and how are they more valuable? And Zach will give you some good instances of why they are. And there's value is only based on what people are willing to pay for it, but for some reason people think they're more valuable and they're willing to pay. And I know a lot of people might leave comments on here like, well, I wouldn't pay extra for an insert there. Definitely, that's your opinion. It's totally cool. And I don't think you're wrong for saying that. If you don't want to pay extra for it, don't pay extra for it. But a lot of people do like to pay extra for it. So,
well, a lot of people have a nice nostalgia, especially if you were in the military. Maybe you bought this book when you were in the military, and then you became a big comic book fan, but you wanted a high-end copy, or maybe you sold it and want a high-end copy. And this is a perfect chance. So it's much more desirable to you than a regular newsstand copy. So
because of scarcity.
Yeah, all because of scarcity. It's more limited, harder to find, so you're able to pay a little bit more money to get that book. So, we talked about New Mutants 98, that basically the end of the Mark Jeweler run. So, in a CGC 9.8 regular, it's selling for $2,850. Last sell for a CGC 9.8 newsstand, New Mutants 98. Last sold for a Mark Jeweler New Mutants 98 is $9,850.
Whoa.
Almost 5 times.
Whoa, that's higher than normal too.
Times.
Normally they garnish like about $1,000 to $2,000 more, but that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's on those bigger books.
It must be that they barely printed out any Mark Jewelers at that time. Yes, it had a large print around New Mutants 98, but it's like Mark Jewelers not working comics anymore. Print 1%. Who knows? Who knows? And another example, just to show that there is a regular price difference that is of significance.
For your everyday average book, not your creme de la creme Mark Jewelers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. X-Men 107, first appearance of the Starjammers in a non-newsstand, or in a non-Mark Jeweler. It's $6,000 for a 9.8. Very expensive. For a Mark Jeweler in a 9.8, it's $13,859. Double. A little bit over double.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Mark Jeweler commands a lot more value for key issues. A lot more. And so, one way to make a little bit extra money, keep an eye out for those.
Yeah. All collectors are different and everyone collects the way they want to collect, but in some ways, we all collect things for a reason, and a lot of the times the reason is because of scarcity or rarity, and that, that's just the name of the game. That's how it happens. But on a side note, there is, if you do get them graded, CGC does recognize Mark Jewelers, and they will put it on the label. I will tell you, make sure you tell them there's a Mark Jeweler in there, just in case you don't want to get it slabbed and then they don't put it on the label, then there's no way to know there's a Mark Jeweler inside. But we do have an instance of one slabbed with a Mark Jeweler, and you can see where they label it on the case. Sad thing is you can never look at the insert again once it's in there, but it is labeled and someone verified it, so I guess you don't really need to see it again after that point. But
there you crack it and they're like, there's no Mark Julius. They hoodwinked me.
right?
Yeah, thank you again, Princess, for showing the book flawlessly. And you think it too. Comment down below.
All right, guys. So, yeah, just a quick thing. You know, for any of you guys that are unfamiliar with Mark Jewelers or the difference in pricing, and there's a lot of cool variants to look out for. You know, out there, just a lot of stuff. You know, Whitman variants, even newsstand variants are considered, you know, depending on the time frame, are more rare than other books. So, just a bunch of cool stuff that can help you upgrade your collecting and get a little bit more gains when it comes to your stuff. And you might want to go back and look through some of your existing Bronze Age newsstand books. You might have some you didn't even know about, you know?
I found a couple just in my regular collection. I just never really looked for them
Yeah.
at the beginning. Yeah, and that
And Zach
made me
always looks.
How I always look.
Always looks.
The more you know.
The more you know. All right, guys. If you like hearing more of these, the more you know. All you gotta do is hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you always know when they're dropping down, and leave a comment down below. Let us know if you're a fan of Mark Jewelers, if you don't like Mark Jewelers, if you think they should be worth more, if you think they should be worth the same. Totally open to all opinions. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer to that. It's just kind of like, be cool to see what you guys think about it. And Zach, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking you gotta share on how you do that. You have to go in to a tall mountain, find a temple that's hidden, a Shaolin temple, get teach by all the learned people there, martial arts, is that, and the art of the ninja, right? And then you come down and you decide, I'm not gonna be a regular ninja. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be a comic book ninja. It's like, imagine with all that knowledge and then all the comic book knowledge put into one, you'll be able to assassinate any deal and get those gains. Mysteriously, they won't know.
And you'd be the first Shaolin ninja.
Shaolin ninja. I mean,
Shaolin comic ninja.
That's my goal now. I already got the shit.
Yes. All right, guys. Until we see you next time.
Stay safe and get those Shaolin gains.
Get those Mark Jeweler gains.
Mark Jeweler gains.
There you
of
go.
Course, Mark.